Hi everyone, hope you are feeling positive and healthy. Please subscribe with all bell notifications if you haven't already, and please don't hesitate to leave your valuable feedback and advice below. Thank you very much. Let's jump into the stories. Am I the unreasonable one for refusing to have lunch with my mom after I realized how she treats food? I 21 years old male, grew up with my mom 46 years old female, and my sister 24 years old female. I moved out this year and our mom calls us over for lunch like 2/3 times a week and it's a family time for us. My whole life I had problem with my stomach, gas, pain and stuff like that. It wasn't anything crazy, but it was there my whole life. I just ignored it. Now last night I was hanging out with my sister. She told me how she doesn't like eating at home, how mom doesn't care if food is expired and hates wasting food. I start thinking about it and it just hit me how I never paid attention to it, and how I don't have stomach problems anymore since I moved. I even sleep better. I was shocked. I still am. My mom was always cheap. She never knew how to save money and would end up buying stuff we don't need just because it's on sale. Worst part about it, we never had a problem with money. We used to travel a lot. She used to buy us a pretty expensive and nice clothes. There was never a need for her to act like this. Then my sister told me how once while we still lived there, mom made her dinner and gave her some bread. She started eating and then noticed mold on the bread. She told mom about it and went to throw it away, since the whole bread was rotting, and mom started yelling at her and snatched the bread out of her hands and put it back to place, saying that she will give it to me and I will eat it. Thank God, she waited for mom to exit the kitchen and threw it away. And that is just one case, she told me. I was horrified how I never noticed this. I am so mad and confused. I feel disgusted with myself. I texted my mom that I will not be coming to lunch today and I don't know how to deal with this. TLDR, I realized my mom doesn't mind eating rotten and expired food, but I very much do, so I don't know how to tell her I don't want to have lunch with her anymore. Not the unreasonable one. Stay away. It has given you stomach issues forever. Did your mom grow up poor or something? That could explain her anxiety around wasting food. If she wants to see you, she can come around for lunch at your place or in a restaurant. I'm so sorry you had to find out this way. Not the unreasonable one. Your mom has a problem and she probably needs counseling for it. Sit your mom down together and tell her that you assumed you had a bad stomach because you were sick all the time, but you're better since you moved out. Say lovingly that she needs help because you're worried she will make herself majorly ill at some point. Until she gets that help, you're not eating anything she makes unless you all get the ingredients and cook together. You can meet out for food, you can bring a basket over to hers, but you're not eating her food until she stops low-key poisoning you. Am I the unreasonable one for telling my sister she's a dummy for buying a car she can't afford? My sister, 26, has no concept of money. She has expensive taste and has resulted in her having no money, wasting all her savings and having to move in with me, 36 years old male, as our parents are sick of telling her to save her money and she doesn't. They basically don't want to bail her out anymore. I only agreed to take her in on the condition she pays $200 a month towards household expenses. I made it that low so she can save more money from her job. She also had to help out with chores and stuff. She was elated at this proposal. I also luckily own my home outright, so I don't see the point of charging her rent. The first few months were fine. She actually saved her paychecks. She also has a driving license and started talking about buying her first car. I told her she could save up a fair bit and buy a used car so she doesn't waste all her money on a brand new car she's paying off for years. I showed her some sites to look at which were verified car dealers and also calculated how much deposit she could put down and how much she'd be paying monthly and for insurance. She seemed to appreciate my input and she told me she was going to save for maybe a year to have a decent deposit. She told me recently she was going to go and look at a car. This quickly changed to her telling me she had already bought a car when I was out one day. She was very vague about the details and I wanted to trust she made good judgment, so I just asked her questions about it. She told me it cost her $25,000. I thought she meant she had a $2,500 deposit down and told her that was awesome. She seemed really weird and then told me the car itself was actually $25,000. I asked her how the hell she could afford a deposit for a car that much and she told me she got a loan. I told her she was a dumbass. She showed me the loan and the interest rate is sky high and the monthly costs on the car are ridiculous. I said to her, why the hell would you get a loan and buy a car that's going to ruin you financially? She just shrugged her shoulders and said she didn't want a cheap car. I made her realize how stupid she'd been and she started crying. But I had no sympathy for her. I could easily afford to help her out with her debt. But I said, you made this mess. You fix it. I am done trying to help you. She has gone to her parents where she told them a lot. I told them the truth and they ended up being on my side. My sister says I am an unreasonable person as I am refusing to help my baby sister out and that she made a genuine mistake. However, she keeps doing this and she is 26. She needs to learn to control her money. I love her, but it's also her own mess. Am I the unreasonable one? Also, I'm still going to let her live with me for a low cost. But that's all I'll do. No more advice to help her out or anything. More information. Thanks everyone for the comments. I'm going to show these to my sister in the hopes it'll get through to her, and I'm also gonna have a stern talk to her about the reality of living cost and still charge her a low cost for staying with me. But that it's no longer going to be $200. She can learn what it's like to pay out living expenses and for a car and see how one of us struggles and makes do. Not the unreasonable one. She's old enough to know how to make good choices. You've already let her stay with you. That's very generous as it has. Not the unreasonable one. My sibling did something very similar, bigger price tag, and it ended in disaster. Your sister is an adult. She was offered advice and she decided she knew better. It wasn't an honest mistake. She sounds like the kind of person who needs the newest of everything because it's shiny. She needs to take responsibility and sort it out. If you always bail her out, how will she learn? Am I the unreasonable one for disinviting my sister from a dream vacation I specifically arranged for her after she invited someone else? I am sorry for the long title, but I was not sure how else to word it. Also, just to clarify, this takes place several months ago before the world started ending. Not sure if it is relevant to the story, but my sister is 32 and I am 29. Me and my sister are very different people, and despite the fact we love each other, we've never got along all that well. Part of that is largely because of our different routes in life, I think. When I was 14, my sister got pregnant, got kicked out by her parents, and I didn't see her much for a long time after that. When I moved out at 18 and started going to college, contact between my sis and I became more regular. She had 2 kids at this point, both from the same guy, but he had walked out on them a year prior. She wasn't doing well psychologically or financially. Skipping way ahead, I since graduated, got a great job, and have been working my way up the ladder since. That is to say, since I do not have kids yet, I have way too much disposable income. As a result, I decided to arrange for a 3-week dream vacation for me and my sister, as into a location she had been talking about since we were children. My girlfriend was fine with us going. Our parents were going to watch her kids. I made sure to arrange everything before even inviting her and deciding on a final date as she had to get off work. When I told her, she was excited beyond belief. She even cried. We agreed on a date to leave and return. Problems started a few weeks after when I found out she had invited 2 of her friends. They were to pay for their own tickets, but stay in our hotel rooms. So I asked her about it and she told me about it. I immediately shot it down. I had no interest in spending 3 weeks as a fourth wheel with, and I was also not going to share my room with a random female friend of hers. We had a massive argument since apparently they had already ordered their plane tickets. Again, I told her no. This turned into a larger fight about me never doing anything for her, since apparently I am supposed to use my money to make her life easier, and to make a long story short, we started yelling and I disinvited her at the end of the call. Afterwards, she tried to guilt me into just paying for the vacation for her and a friend of hers. I declined. When that didn't work, she started apologizing. I told her to F off. Again, to make it short, me and my girlfriend had an amazing vacation. My relationship with my sister is pretty much over though. Was I TA here? Should I have given ground? Had to cut out quite a bit of additional information to fit the character limit, so sorry in advance. Not the unreasonable one. It was you and her. She's being greedy and selfish. Not the unreasonable one. She said that I never do anything for her. WTF, you were literally about to take her on a vacation. Your sister got some whack logic. Am I the unreasonable one for not apologizing for how I reacted to my daughter coming out as gay? My daughter recently told us that she is a lesbian. That is completely fine and I have no problem with anyone's sexuality. I am the least emotional person ever. I hate showing emotions when I actually feel them, which is pretty rarely, and I certainly don't fake them because it is socially expected. I am so in love with my husband, but if you watch our wedding video I look bored. My daughter knows this. I said I was happy for her and of course we support her. Her sisters were making a big deal of how proud they were and hugging her and she was emotional, but that is just never going to be me. She got angry and said I wasn't being supportive. My older daughter said that isn't fair, because I had the same reaction when she told me she was engaged, and when she told me she was pregnant, and that's just me. My daughter wants me to apologize for not supporting her sexuality, but I told her I'm not going to apologize when I literally said I support her, and she knows this is how I am, and that I've never been homophobic or anything in the past. Not the unreasonable one. We need to get away from the idea that it is reasonable to dictate other people's reactions. It's not, and she should know her mother better. My fiancée is unemotive, and when I asked to marry her she said yes. She wasn't jumping around, but like a casual yes, but you can tell she was overjoyed. An example is Brooklyn 99 Captain Holt and his husband don't show emotion. Sonta. Am I the unreasonable one for not telling my ex-husband that our son is bisexual? Throwaway. My ex and I ended our marriage when our son was 4. We didn't want the same things, but we remain respectful and co-parent our son. My ex gave our son Leo, 17 years old male, the sex talk when he was younger, but forgot the whole talk? Yes, he learned about sex, but he left out the LGBTQ+ community, safe relationships, boundaries, etc. So I explained it to him after, and we've touched on the subjects as he's gotten older. Last summer, my son came to me and said that he's bisexual. Specifically, he was attracted to his friend Nate, 17 years old male, who came out a few years ago as gay. Leo was nervous about telling people. I told him I support him and explained that if he felt he didn't want to tell anyone he didn't have to, or if he wanted to he could tell whoever he wanted, and that I would always be there for him and support him. Well, in February, Leo and Nate came to me and said they were together. I'm so happy for them. They're great together and they just seem happy. Now, I felt that if I suddenly said no sleepovers anymore and no closed doors, I would be hurting them and driving them to rebel. Strict parents equals sneaky kids type thing. They've been friends for so long, and I felt like if they trusted me to tell me, they would respect my rules. And they have. They've been great. Since they told me, Leo still didn't feel comfortable coming out to certain people, like his dad. He felt that his dad wouldn't accept him because my ex is traditionally masculine. He came out to me and some friends. Now, my ex called me 2 nights ago screaming that he walked in on Leo and Nate kissing in Leo's room. I told him to calm down before Leo heard and pushed him away for not feeling accepted. Ex didn't listen and was screaming that I should have told him Leo was gay and that he was dating Nate. He said that if I knew, I should have told him so they wouldn't be alone together. I tried to explain to him that it's about trust and he hung up on me. Leo called me to pick him up, so I did. Nate had left after my ex saw them together. I called him to check in when we got home and he said he was okay. Leo was in tears the whole way home and he's been upset since. Now here's my issue. I don't know if I'm the I in this situation. My reasoning is that if I told my ex, I would be betraying Leo's trust and that he needed to come out to his dad on his own terms. I would be forcing him out of the closet if I had said anything. I trust my son not to do something he shouldn't. He's never given me a reason not to. Obviously they're in a relationship and they're going to kiss. I don't think an innocent kiss is a big deal. My ex thinks it was a breach of trust on my end for not telling him, so he could have made his own rules regarding their relationship. Ex is still angry, not talking to me, and has said nothing to Leo yet, either. Leo said that it was just a single kiss while they were playing video games and then his dad walked in. Am I the unreasonable one for not telling my son's dad? Dear supportive Rainbow Mom. Major not the unreasonable one. Your son's sexual orientation is his to disclose. You are respecting his autonomy. Not outing your son when he trusted you with this info is a sign of good parenting. Especially since he hasn't talked to Leo yet. Your ex has some crap to work through on his own. That's an extremely negative response, and it doesn't sound like the problem is the closed doors. Help Leo work through that as much as you can. Destigmatize counseling, and if he wants it, help him get that support. Negative responses can have long-lasting effects. Also make sure if counseling comes up that you're not questioning/asking him to examine his sexuality, but because you can understand if he's feeling hurt by his dad's response. Queer kids are at such a high risk for depression not because of their queerness, but reactions like your ex's to learning that they're bi, gay, etc. Lay a foundation now that makes it more likely he'll reach out for professional emotional support if/when he needs it. PFLAG might have good resource for you too, and or help you meet other moms/parents who divorced asshats that reacted similarly. You're doing good. By not requiring an open door, you've actually opened the door wider to him coming to you. Keep up the good work. Sincerely, your local friendly bi woman. Added to add. Hell yes. Reread and saw that your sex ed talk with your son included boundaries, and I'm assuming, based on other content, consent. Your interaction here didn't just tell your son about what healthy boundaries and consent looks like, you showed him through your actions. Not the unreasonable one. Your son was entitled to deciding who to tell and when to tell them about his sexuality, period. Am I the unreasonable one? My mom's husband sued us and I think my wife should pay it back on her own. My mom got married about a year ago. She had casually mentioned that she had a boyfriend, but she never told me it was serious, or that she was engaged. My mom and I are not close and she can't stand my wife, but she comes around occasionally, I think when she feels guilty. They had a very small intimate reception and didn't invite us. My mom didn't even tell us that she got married. But of course with social media we heard. When I asked my mom, her excuse was that my wife is vegan and she didn't want to have to worry about someone else on her day. My wife was rightfully angry about this. But my wife's sister, who doesn't know the history, asked if we were worried about my mom because it could be a potentially abusive situation and he could be isolating her. That is a valid point. But even by going through my mom's social media history it was clear he had met her friends and her dad. Well, my wife took that story and ran with it. She told everyone that the guy was an abuser. He sued us for defamation and I was nervous because he is a lawyer. Well, I looked him up and he was apparently one of the best lawyers in our state, so I got really scared. I tried to have my wife apologize, but they didn't want to hear it. He raked us over the coals in court, and since she had used his name which is associated with his law firm he had a very strong case. We aren't rich by any means and this is going to hurt us. We keep to a very strict budget and both have some fun money saved at the end of the month. I think my wife should use her own spending money to pay for this, because I tried to stop. She says we are married and should handle it as a team. Not the unreasonable one. First, winning a defamation case is definitely not easy, so she must have had some pretty bad stuff. Second, this was entirely on her actions. If she got a speeding ticket, who would pay? If she assaulted someone and got sued, who would pay? This was not a back and forth argument where it escalated to this point. She knows nothing about the situation and chose to make defamatory comments. Did you ever try to stop your wife before you got sued? Because this whole we're a team thing is bullcrap. But if you never tried to stop her until it was too late, then yeah, you share in some of the blame. Ultimately yeah, your wife royally screwed the both of you over. Your mom's husband had every right to sue, especially considering her lies could have really hurt him financially. Also, your wife kind of sounds like a bundle of red flags. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more stories delivered to you. Thanks for listening. See you later.